The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.
Great things, my fellow worshipful Animal, and today we're going to discuss the validity of a pull-up. What defines a pull-up? What is a full range of motion, or if not, a decent range of motion that should be validated during a competition? The point of contention is around the fact that some people find it an issue. It is controversial that people who tend to overextend the chin over the bar in attempt for validation of their repetition whether or not they should be taken seriously. The answer should be simple, right? Because it comes down to what is the standard. What has been defined as a standard for validation of a pull-up depending on the federation, and it is accepted internationally all across the world, even for the unsavvy and the untrained people. They usually understand that ideally you want to have your chin over the ball, and that's when that's where the problem can come, right? Chin over the ball means ideally having your neck neutral. You pull your chin over the ball. It should be able to give you a full range of motion of the pull-up. And when you implement the weighted pull-up into the whole scenario, then you realize that as it gets heavier and more challenging, it's human nature for the individual to tend to extend their neck, and depending on how rigorous the person is, he will tend to extend aggressively the neck and build a technique based on aggression, leading by the neck extension as he or she rises, as opposed to aggression with a rise of the thoracic extension. That would be easier, however, for most people to meet the strictness of the chin over the ball if they didn't realize that they gain more momentum by aggressively attack the movement using the neck extension. So that's where you tend to notice more and more people resulting in the neck extension as they tend to reach the top of the ball. It is much easier to accumulate momentum, to gain momentum by aggressively attacking the movement by extension of the neck, and then as you get closer and closer to the ball and more overwhelmed by the load, people just tend to reach and cross the ball just before they lose the momentum and come back down. Is it the right way to go about an ideal range of motion of pull-up? No, but the thing is, in a competition, people will resort in any way and form to get the quickest way and more efficient way to meet the regulation and win. And that's where the problem might be. It works when it comes down to winning, at least based on the standard of the simple rule that the chin has to cross the ball. No other parameters involved into that instruction. So that's that. The people will just tend to extend the neck and cross the ball and get the point validated. And when I look at it, I don't really see an issue with that, right? There really shouldn't be any issue about whether or not it should be a good way to process your pull-up form, because at the end of the day, whether you have a long neck, you have a long chin, a long head, whatever it is, right, you tend to notice that when you manage to cross your chin past the ball, the angle in between your elbow and your forearm and your humerus will be the shortest possible. So being the shortest possible, and resulting in the fullest range that you could have accomplished with such a load, whether you extend in attempt to go up or whether you pull your full body so that your chin is clearly over the bar with that neck extension. It comes down to the same. So I feel like it is a fair rule, and it's been so far accepted all over the place that by extending your neck, if you manage to clearly cross your chin over the closest what you call 'em, edge of the bar, your pull-up should be validated. However, kudos to those who can clearly, pull themselves over the bar, and then even sometimes pausing on top of you, because there's some people who have a better control on the top of the range of the pull-up. Does that mean that they're necessarily stronger? I don't know, because I've seen people who accomplish their maxes by pausing on top of the pull-up, right? With as heavy as 95 kilogram. That's close to, close to 100K, right? Close to, in the plus 200 pound. But doesn't necessarily mean that if they were to just go and attempt to reach the chin over the bar by any means without pausing, they will be able to do more than 95 kilogram. Because clearly, in that individual, particularly in the world championship, he failed many times to rank in the top 3 of the world championship, right? He missed the the opportunity. I mean, not opportunity, but he's very strong, but he didn't manage to make it. There were other people who were stronger, and does that mean that person should be able to pull more than 95 kilogram if he didn't have to pause on top of his max rep? I don't think so. The rule is get your chin over the bar. Whether you pause or not is up to you. People want you to lift the maximum amount of weight and have your chin over the bar. It's just simple as that. And because you train, certain people just have certain ability. He might have the ability to pause on top of his motion. I mean, of his range. It doesn't necessarily mean that he will be able to pull a lot more weight and not be able to pause on top of the motion, if you see what I'm saying. Strength is very angle specific, and some people just are able to maintain contraction in a specific angle. It might be glorified by a section of people as him being a solid puller and be able to even pause. But at the end of the day, in spite of having the ability, he still was not able to pull like 100 kilogram, regardless of whether it was pausing or not pausing. Because I'm sure it's because he has the ability to pause that he does so. It's not because he wants to show off and show domination. If he had a way to pull more weight and not having to pause on top of his pull up, he would do so, because 2 times in a row he got so close and he ranked in the top 4, just so close by missing the podium. So that's just to tell you that there's nothing wrong with pulling and getting your chin over the wall by any means possible, provided that you keep your legs straight, you don't keep you meet all the other requirements of the rules, and you're able to perform just that. Now the problem is when people are dumping the chin over the ball, they have a sloppy form on the lower body. The legs are all over the place. They end up looking like somebody in having a stroke in attempt of having like a max pull up that they really cannot control, because you having to keep bending your way around, twisting yourself to get there, and then extending your neck. That just shows clearly that you have no control over the weight. You can still have control over the weight and just gain enough momentum by using your neck extension, kicking your thoracic extension, and then eventually reach the closest and fastest to the bar as you can, and extend your chin in attempt to just close the close the gap, and then validate your pull up. So that's that. Nothing wrong with that, provided that you learn to keep yourself tight and sturdy throughout the motion. And yeah, even when you dump yourself on top, make sure that after you dump yourself in attempt of crossing the bar, you make sure that you decelerate properly, not just sighing all the way down, because a full pull-up should be a nice control on the eccentric. So being able to just gain momentum, clear as soon as you clear, and you let go slightly from that top range, that's very hard to control. You might just need to decelerate and apply that tension all the way to the bottom of the pull-up, and then you have your pull-up, and there you go. I will even add, the only way to solve the ambiguity is to have clavicle over the bar. I would not want to say chest over the bar, because that's probably too much. Nobody will ever be able to get some impressive load. Clavicle over the bar, that makes you having to raise your chin clearly, clutching over the bar, and kind of have to pause before you come down. And the problem with that is, anytime you chunk over like that without pausing, more than likely, if you come, your neck will be crushing the bar, which will result in injury. With something as heavy as that, to make it simple, they just make it that people cross the chin over the bar. Your neck is already in that position anyway. You have a slight extension. Why not just go and keep having that a slight extension in continuation with your neck, and reach the bar and crutch? Because having to go that way and keeping your head neutral, you have to go outward and come inward, and then come back again for you to perform the thing safely. So I mean, it's just intricate. However you want it, just specify the rules, and it should be that simple. When the rule is set, people just gonna find a way to make it happen by any means. Again, I will be so looking forward to see what kind of strategy people will come with if the standard become clavicle to the ball. That would be interesting. Now, for hypertrophy, what's the proper way to perform? I think it could just be the same. For hypertrophy, you most likely will have to deal with submaximal and moderate to low intensity loads, and with that, it should be much easier to have your chin over the bar without excessive extension of your neck. Now, if you tend to have the dump excessive extension of the neck to cross the bar even with lighter load, then we have a problem there. That means something is wrong with your mechanic, and you have to address it. You just probably be too lazy about getting your chin over the bar without excessive extension of it. Some people might maintain the neutral neck, during a certain phase of their training, to even maximize more. That means with a neutral neck, you're not benefiting from the extension of your neck. That can give you a lot more momentum, a lot more power from the beginning. And while you build a base with that least with that nerfed version of a pull-up, you might transition to a more aggressive version of the pull-up, where you include that extension of your neck and going. And also, I would suggest that you train your neck as well. Work the neck extension muscles so that you don't abuse them, and at the end of your pulling career, you end up having some problem with your neck just because you just abuse the neck extension throughout your career of training, which I assume will be lifelong. So at 70-80 years old, you do not want to have to deal with some neck problem just because you lacked your pull-up so much, and that you competed in the pull-up so much. So those who don't really compete in the sport that involve like heavy loads with pull-up wouldn't really have to worry about anything, because practicing normal pull-up with bodyweight pull-up shouldn't require you to extend your neck extremely hard, during the performance of it. So that's that. I hope everything has been broken down ideally, and that after this explanation, people have an idea of where I stand in terms of whether or not dragging your neck over the bar is a bad thing, a good thing, or should be prohibited. And yeah, if it's tolerated during the competition, that it is what it is. You have to comply with the rules, because people will get the chin over the ball just by any means. Or maybe certain federation like the Russians, I think they want your chin to have a certain angle with the ball, like perpendicular, parallel to the ball. So in that competition, you cannot really dump your chin over. You will have to fully control, kind of pause, and have your chin, parallel to the floor, not just perpendicular as you go up. So those are things that can be implemented depending on the body of regulation. And internationally, it's been accepted that you can just draw on your neck and go up, and sky is the limits. Just get a chin over the ball. Some people can tolerate chin too well, but overall, chin over the ball will guarantee the maximum range of motion that you can possibly have. If you don't believe it, go and pause. People who perform with the strictest way, as much as they dump over they dump the chin over the ball with a decent control, you will see that the angle between the forearm and the humerus is the shortest that it can possibly be, and the shoulder is the closest to the ball as it can possibly. It's usually past 90 degree. It breaks that 90 degree and the closest to the ball, and that's pretty much what we want. We just don't want like a half pull up. We want a pull up where the angle between the forearm and the humerus is the shortest and the most acute it can be. And that's the same thing we do with the dips, right? We don't dip by having your elbow complete in touching the floor. We don't go super deep in the judging of the dip, right? The same thing. Sometimes it's even breaking parallel or get below parallel for the overzealous people, and that's what people are able to come up to conclusion with too. And that's what makes me believe that there's nothing wrong with having your chin over the ball. The angles are just good enough for you to be accepted as having completed a good range of motion on the pull-up, provided that you keep your body tight, legs together, glute squeeze, and no keeping. So that's that. Everything is and will always be the mechanical way. Salute, like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.
The revolution will be live.